With the recent change to the Omen for Jakey, though, here on Split, as opposed to the Astra that he's been more classically known for on a multitude of these maps, the object is clear for what YFP has been trying to do as of late here on Split. Get a little more active and let your fraggers frag, something that has been what lets the attacking side get a little more advantage these days on this map than they did before. YFP, though, starting out on that defensive side, heavy weight on this A-line, and like you said, M80, they are coming strong on this attack.
But Penny, this is the right player to have around this angle. But all right, nice. Sato takes him away, but again, the stun was there at the same time. Beautiful setup coming in from M80. Thief comes in to try to battle a little bit from the top rope, but it just does not happen. Sato does have the angle onto Jakey. And B-Dog's also coming in from that heaven side. This is going to be real tough here, but it's not like B-Dog doesn't have the utility. And it's also not like Jakey doesn't have the util either. That paranoia is perfect. It covers up two of them. There goes the swing. And oh my goodness, Jakey taking away two. Victor, not expecting the angle, coming in from main still. Jakey off the defuse. Victor, he's going to take his time here. There goes the salvos. But more than enough time for this defuse.
A massive paranoia play from Jakey sends Victor into panic mode in the 1v2, leaving him an impossible swing. Massive playback after M80 drastically take over that A site thanks to Sato's execute, which will continue to be one of the most powerful things on M80's attacking side of this map. But thanks to that paranoia and B-Dog also helping out with that util dump, I believe his fault line was back online. The timing ended up favoring YFP in that back half of the round. They'll use that to get that massive gun advantage. Nobody from YFP getting ultra aggressive in the extremities, but that mid lane is going to be M80's biggest talking point, which is why you see YFP already meeting them here.
Penny's going to back up immediately. Good option there is YFP. They get that information, they reset, they're not giving up any individual frags potentially to these classics. And it wouldn't really be individual, right? It would be like 3-4 pistols. All marking your body. A good safe play here from YFP, still covering very closely these choke points. Except Thief, he's getting kind of chewed out here. And Thief can't really do much here, except he does. Oh my goodness. Still finding all the efficiency, even though it was locked away behind the smoke. Still somehow able to find 3 frags. That is so good here for YFP. He is already more than halfway through to his ultimate, and we're only now getting to a good round here for M80. And I mean, my goodness, I mean, their cash still isn't exactly perfect. They are going to go in with a big round going in now, but YFP, they win this round out. They're going to have their ultis, almost all of them, by the time M80 are back.
Yeah, this has got to be the big round for M80, surely. And they'll certainly have more than one idea they'll get to toy with this round. Seems like their first point of order will be taking over that tower from the ramps. But you've got Stellar standing in your way, and immediately with those salvos playing for the time, it's going to have to be Sato making that space a little early to the party, but YFP ready with this rotation on top of the conditioning wall.
Still, nobody from YFP is going to be able to respond immediately, but again, here comes the Tejo in the middle of sight. It is going to be Stellar to really do all of this damage. Yes, you do have the Outlaw, but it's not going to be able to do much. Trade battle coming out over in heaven. It is going to be 3 individual players getting a frag, and really everyone on M80 chiming in for a frag. Penny now in a 1-on-3, make it a 1-on-2. Chance here with a pistol, but Victor caps it off.
Truly, the gun diff mattered so much in that fight, didn't it? Everybody from YFP had their aims trained on the right targets, ready to let fly with the Phantoms, except they're holding Frenzies and they're holding Spectres, and unfortunately, just unable to find that damage in the same time as M80's holds are, and it's enough to get that gun diff over the line. Will that persist, though, now that YFP have their own guns? They will certainly be willing to fight Sato a little bit earlier, more often than not because of that, but how many other hurdles can they throw in this attacking squad's direction to make it, once again, as difficult as possible to even get to this site?
Oh, Thief's playing a little bit dangerous here. You heard that TP all the way up in top mid, and now mid. Fully taken up by M80. B main battle, though, Penny is playing it out here with the Omen smoke. It's not exactly a bad spot here, especially for the fact that he does have The Outlaw right next to him, but there goes a big spot there onto Thief. Thief is away. YFP, they're still yet to really find some comfortable footing here, whether it be on B or over towards the mid side. M80 just look a little bit awkward right now. And that's throwing off YFP a whole bunch. What is this Heaven setup? M80. They're going to be running into nothing over here on site, but instead, YFP, they're going to stack a mosh pit of players over towards A.
They assumed M80 already had a lot more passive control of Heaven, but they hadn't even made the way fully up yet. So Jakey's been forced to take a bit of a backdoor position. They'll get a little more proactive on top of it now thanks to B-Dog with the crunch, but only good for the one. And Stellar,
no idea.
The salvos are in hand, but he can't properly use them. The timing's off. So YFP, they only really have one lifeline in Jakey over here at the moment, but M80, they can barrel roll their way through A-side, at least this time around.
God, that was looking like the lineup there with the salvos. And Stellar, kind of his angle, could have maybe held on for a little bit more, but here comes. Advantage here of Heaven. Couple of defenders already stepping out into the middle of sight. Again, you have to look out for Victor in the back of sight. He's the only one sitting in the middle of sight. Now Victor with a wide angle. Gonna be able to pick up one, but hello, Thief. Thief picking up two, waiting for his teammate to swing, and it works out. Penny takes down Victor. Not the one-on-one. Penny's down so low, and that's all that Bao needs.
I really have to shout out the universality that Okeanos had in that round in particular. Peeking on B garage for such a long time, almost prodding out. I don't remember who it was holding down that garage peek, but then immediately throwing that smoke all the way down to the back door of Heaven before M80 has even breached the vents. Enough to scare that YFP defensive team into holding a little farther back, giving M80 a little more room to roam. And they use that so effectively, just enough to get them the fight win. Ultimately, the site and the economic advantage, they can get the snowball rolling here and now. If YFP is not careful, holding on to these frenzies, stingers, sheriffs, what have you.
Shadows traveling.
This is going to be a bit of a gimme here potentially for the Stinger B-Dog, but B-Dog, he's not going to get pressured out. Before he ends up making his way into the middle of sight, B-Dog alone steps into sight, and oh my goodness, the meat grinder just takes everyone out for M80. Like I was saying, the Stinger was looking to go off there from Stellar, but did not expect it to go that way, not by any means. Penny chiming in with his own 2 frags, and this is, of course, the complete opposite of what we expected. It is the quote-unquote eco in the hands of YFP, and M80 not able to get a singular frag. Victor down to 4 HP. YFP, it would be nice for them to try to hunt this frag just so it's one less thing for them to invest into
left.
too. But plenty of guns dropped over in A main right now. M80, their cash is on the brink right now. YFP firmly have found their way back into this game.
And the pendulum immediately swinging the other way. After an air of disconnect, placates M80 on the A entry. B-Dog given enough chances to get that opening frag, and instead of fully doubling down, M80 tried to divide and conquer against these lesser guns, but bigger kits. And B-Dog is gonna solo fight his way till the bitter end, grabs his second, and Penny, thanks to that divide and conquer style, is handed far less on his plate. Also good for the 2, the slight hero moments that M80 opened the door for on their own approach. YFP fully bust open. Now they got gun advantage, ult advantage, util advantage, what have you, on this defensive side that, again, obviously they want to take advantage of. They chose to start here. They understand that this is still the more powerful side. M80 still going to call this timeout to go for the full mental reset, I reckon. Sato, his mobility has already not been nearly as much of an issue for YFP in the long run. So I imagine they're going to start having him simply enable the other members of M80, turn them into an even heavier death ball a little more often than not for the remainder of this attack.
Again, YFP, a lot of these responses here on this defensive side has been, again, just overwhelming. These guys are hard calling out these positions for M80. And again, you kind of have to, consider that for a contribution for the last few rounds, for the fact that M80, are even facing any sort of competition here for YFP. Again, YFP, yes, they did lose out on a couple of pretty pivotal rounds, even though they called out those positions, but it's not like YFP haven't been able to get 1 or 2 pretty pivotal frags off angles alone. M80, they were doing a really good job of clearing out those angles a little bit earlier on with their setups, but things have slowed down a little bit, and thus, A doesn't seem to be the target anymore. We need to switch things up, and we're going to see things on B for the first time. Sato from behind has the dimensional drift, is in the face of the breach, is in the face of Jakey, and he's here for a party. Ends up bursting things up with a kill onto Jakey, and everyone runs.
A key ring onto this B push that lets M80 take it fully for free. Great shots by Sato to exact upon the dimensional drift for one of the only times he's been able to so far this series, and that's every excuse to pull out that Viper's Pit as well. Really snakes through the entirety of Link, doesn't it? YFP standing in perfect territory for Sato to grab a second. Now he'll extend enough for YFP to inch in the cracks and crevices. Thief for 2, Pit is gone, Penny for 1, Stellar on high. YFP get the shutdown regardless, and now a Pit of their own that Victor will quickly shut down. The swing onto Stellar, that Stellar still has to fight out.
No way.
He will in the end and have enough time to get this defuse. But God, is it difficult for YFP to get back on this time.
Again, just on a real M80, they're the ones who pull out the Viper's Pit. When did I mention that Thief was going to have a Viper's Pit? I mentioned this in round number 2. We just went past round number 6. Thief has had his Viper's Pit, still has not found a utility for it. They run into a brick wall on site, and oh my goodness, how does YFP still find that Thief? Penny, Stellar, the 3 old guns ends up finding their way in.
Really amazing work by Thief to work that pit at the perfect time. Saves YFP yet again. M80 relegated to an even worse spy now. And they'll try to get proactive on top of it again. Sato! Oh, he dodges the salvos too!
Oh, nice. Sato! Oh, he's gonna get a free frag! Why? Unbelievable. I mean, you still had the setup there, but no way you were going to check around the corner. Brutal, brutal, brutal. But the pistols don't exactly work out here so far. Paranoia comes in. Oh my goodness, Oki's still able to turn it around. That flash got everyone. V-Dog, firing range, no one.
5 players in front of 5 players. The util that each side throws hits every
What is
side.
happening?
Levels of punishment that both teams surely saw coming. Trying to ego their way through the spray war at the end of the day. And it might be enough for Stellar against the 1 lone rifle. Okeanos, hold, gun spotted, not spotted.
Stop
Ricochet
it.
off the stun, Stellar! Tack on another one for YFP's defense that they somehow revert.
Okay. This is just the day of heaters. We had the 3-0 game earlier, going down to the brink. Both games, 13-11 map, and some overtime. And now we start off this second game with a 17-15. And we still got some more drama. YFP with 2 miracle rounds in a row. I mean, I can't even explain it any other way. It's just a miracle at this point. YFP being this far ahead, just the way they did it, a little bit of a miracle.
Miracles upon miracles. But if they come up enough times, then you're not seen as lucky, you're seen as miracle workers. First TP out from Penny, no op shot landing, now it's given away, and M80 gain that orb in garage, save for a smoke in turn from Jakey. Easy opening flowchart of the round at the moment as Bao continues to see if anybody gets ballsy on the A side here for YFP. No huge wraparound, just trying to facilitate the transfer through T. The stealth drone will help do that. Find a thief? Oh yeah, just saying hi.
Exactly, it just gave him a fist bump. Amazing. Breach on this A side here for YFP. It's gonna have to come down to B-Dog, really. But again, I'm loving this shift here for YFP. YFP, again, calling out repeatedly these approaches here from M80. But The call out is just a little bit late here. Nobody is going to be able to safely find their way into the middle of sight, but Salvo alongside Armageddon is going to delay everyone, and you still find a way into elbow. Sato needs to do it all once again. He was a hero the last few rounds, but he can't do it this time. He gets bounced around, and it's all B-Dog. 3 kills from B-Dog. Victor, last one remaining in a 1v5. And again, it is just all broken down here for M80. Yet another flawless round potentially going their way, and I guess not. Victor finally goes down to the op of Penny. 6-2.
One cry on the rifles that M80 had this half, quickly silenced first by the Armageddon and then by the Rolling Thunder. And credit where credit is due, Sato making every right call on that site, holding it down for the long haul, taking all of that util from YFP just until you think they've run out.
I'm sorry,
and then that Rolling
Sato's
Thunder
been a
comes through.
hero. This man has been a hero 3 rounds in a row now, and M80 just hasn't been able to do anything with it. His play over in mid, sneaking behind the salvos. His play in the middle of sight, getting 2 kills with a classic and a Bucky. Dude, what is happening right now with this team? What is happening with this game? I'm going insane. I love it.
Time to jump.
Long haul set up for the B site. Orb's going to get tossed in, so M80 are going to fast hit this. Another shot thwarted for Penny's off, but it takes the paranoia, so Okeanos is going to get a little more active, be willing to trade off of his body now that he doesn't have much left of the kit. Armageddon on the attack as Jakey gets flushed out. Now it's M80 that tries to get active on top of their ultimates, and the fault line onto the aftershock too. Sato and Bao fragging out. It's down to Penny. Operator in hand, doesn't have a rifle easily accessible at the moment, trying to find a position where he can get one, and I don't think that's going to happen. M80 have every freedom to flash themselves in, but Penny almost holds it down on his own. Upshot into the shorty. Could have been the clip of the century, but M80, at the very least, hold on to this round. This one is theirs.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Entertainment. I love entertainment. This is what this is. M80. They're the only ones making this entertaining right now. Not YFP, not the team winning. M80
Shots
are
fired.
the ones making this entertaining right now. I don't like that. But hey, they're still able to find their way in yet another advantage. That one, a 3v1, but you can't take that away from them. Penny,
Locating target.
incredible play, almost making it happen. It only had to come down to the frags of them. But now M80. Lining themselves up for yet another full take of a site. It is all going to be on B. 2 players in the back. Paranoia immediately coming out. Not immediately, actually. Jakey waiting up as nobody spots the cross in.
Nothing given away on either side. Both teams still playing naturally. Creep up from M80. How far are they going to try and take this mid line? Smokes up. Penny has the flashes, has the decoy, has somebody watching him. It doesn't matter. You still get one. Now they're dropping from M80. It's got to be foot to the floor, and B-Dog quickly stops that. Spike is now ISO'd. And there's your one option gone. M80 tried to play the field a little too long here, and they'll pay the price. 2v3 with 40 seconds to go here. But Bao and Oki, they're stacked up. They're ready to fight this out.
Here we go again. This time M80 needs to be the heroes. Bao
30 seconds
not
left.
able to find anyone, and you already have a bit of control here from YFP back on site, and there's Jakey popping in. Onside B-Dog. That is 7-3 going back the way of YFP again. That one, again, gotta give it up to Penny, but again, what a shock in the system. 3 players over in that mid side. You did have the watch there, but ugly, ugly, ugly still. The fact that Penny wasn't able to get more. B-Dog, however, was able to catch the last. M80 needs some energy going into the second half. Don't really think they're going to be able to find it coming out of this round unless yet another miracle in this half, right? YFP, they're cutting down the options here. Look at this setup in A. 3 players on the front lines against an eco.
They're just going to try and get ahead of it. Penny spraying it down till Okeanos hears it out. No more chip damage done, but now the hero rifle handed back over to Sato as they'll try to press that A door again now that Penny has talked his talk. Oh, great shot by Sato. There's your opening, Stellar. Spray back through on Bao's one peak. So it's got to be this lone A channel. Dimensional drift has to be perfect, but Penny in the meantime getting all the kills he needs to. No stun available, Sato. Dimensional Drift sends him packing 2v2, and rifles on the board for M80. They're gonna try and hold it down, and Sato getting ahead of things now. Thief aggressive, but Sato yet again! 2v1 for M80. How has this Yoru flipped this? But Thief on the backstab turns on to Sato!
Okay. Oh, yet another dramatic round, but this time, M80 on top, Sato with 4. He needs to be even more of a hero than he has been in this half so far. And the stats don't really show it. Sato has showed up in the big rounds, but M80, this one again, almost getting dropped here, but great line of sight there. They were always compensating for somebody, potentially coming out from ramp, potentially coming out from heaven, already dropping into sight. Situational awareness there for M80. My goodness, YFP. I still like to think that they came out like bandits this half.
It's been a lot of moments that they're able to get away with, playing this field so perfectly, playing the corners so well, really timing M80 out, forcing them to second guess at every waking moment. The mental strain for this defensive half is just so severe, and M80, it's questionable whether or not they'll be able to return that same level of firepower. Despite the mirror matchup, Okeanos still getting used to this active Omen on this split. As is Jakey.
Toxin screen down.
Massive opening from M80 here. Take those pot shots, gun it over to the B site via the tower. Paranoia will massively slow them down though. TP from Okeanos is your one, take it in, and Jakey has missed on the timing of it, so sight will be theirs, but B-Dog, quick wrap back, that's gonna be one down. The rest of the team silenced for now as Stellar makes his way back, but limited time for M80 to get this spike down and redisperse.
This is Sato already watching this drop. The Breach isn't going to be able to really do much against this. These two players in the back of B, they're going to have their own battle. They're going to have to keep this back angle. They're going to have to watch out for this Tejo, but look how long he's taking. Stellar taking forever to make his way up into B main. At that point, the split's not really going to matter. There goes finally a peek out from B-Dog. They're looking for one or two other players, but the Tejo is finally going to reveal himself. There goes the Salvas to try to clear out the back of sight, but that just forces Sato, Victor, and Okeanos all into 1v1s, and all are successful. M80 still somehow land on their feet.
In those moments of guarantees, at the end of the day, M80 finally make good on some of them. Beyond the rest of that, hero moment after hero moment just coming up short. Would have been discouraging for many other teams, even at this level. Now, YFP sitting on the attack, they'll have to poke and prod the same ways that M80 were able to do. Of course, Penny is probably not going to be nearly as electric consistently as Sato has been forced to be. Rather, Penny is just going to frag as consistently as Penny always consistently frags, and the rest of YFP is going to pick up along with it. The question is that enough to get them over the line on still such a tough half of a map of Valorant?
Yeah, I'm still looking for really what's going to be the dynamic here for YFP going forward. How much are they really going to rely on Thief over towards A? He's just really going to be that iron anchor, the conditioner over towards A this whole time. How many times are we going to see this switch up for YFP? Again, they love their mid side. They love just taking that advantage. Still splitting in, but we've seen teams succeed against YFP and just holding firm in the extremities, holding firm in other heavens. And YFP, they're already running into that dynamic right now. They're running into two players over in A heaven. They're running into one, picking over in B. Again, these are just pistols, so it's not exactly going to be a show of what's going to happen in the future. But Sato already picks up big kill onto Thief. Needs a couple more, though. It's a two-man advantage here for M80, but they cannot rest on their laurels. There is the kill from Okeanos. There is yet another one going his way. M80, they've already basically cleaned up all of the scrapped rounds that they had a little bit earlier on.
The peaks that Okeanos and Sato took that round are a little bit monstrous. Just looking into those wide spaces where there's two or three staring you down, but able to still win out those fights, especially with that enabling that still coming from the back at the end of that with the Tejo. That's that Victor came calling with just in time. But, I mean, your two most active fraggers in Sato and Oki continuing to show why M80 has put so many of their chips into developing them.
All missiles away.
Sato is going to be the first one to burst here in this round. I have line of sight over here on A, but never mind that. There goes a Viper wall. Toxic screen in the face of the Tejo over in heaven. Victor needing to back out. Sato repositioning, maybe at a bad time, but he's fine. Nobody peeks out in main just yet for him. And look at the stack here once again from M80. 4 players here over on this A side. And bow! What a call out. Dipping right into elevator right when 2 players drop in. Timing could not have been more impeccable there from Bao. As now, 1 more player left here on B. Okeanos.
Caillou getting his first kill of the game as well. Off of that check through A main, holding down screens.
One enemy remaining.
T's crossed, eyes, got it. There you go, Oki. And so we're tied up at 7 here. So far, the perfect response from M80, and that is aiming and hitting shots and winning.
Correct. That is gaming. M80 now are gaming.
I don't mean to harp on Caillou and the fact that he hasn't gotten a kill until this round. It is important to mention that he hasn't, that this has not been a 4v5. This has been Caillou still attempting to enable properly. Of course, with the breach from this distance between sites, it is really hard to do that if you guess wrong on where you're going. So still going to be a little tough for him to be able to be active in every round, but he's still gotten these fault lines and aftershock setups in the post plants thus far for M80, and it's been quite useful to let these fraggers do their work.
Yeah, listen, I mean, when you have so few kills, the obvious mistakes end up becoming a little bit more magnified. Like we did see the Rolling Thunder earlier that took away Sato in the middle of a clutch from Caillou, and it wasn't exactly necessary. But hey, again, we are looking at M80 just try to settle in with their lower util here, with their lower economy. And here on the defensive side, no doubt that Caillou can do just that little bit better. Right there goes Caillou, already doubling his kill count here. He does go down through the smoke to Thief, but more importantly, A site still shut down. Victor has the heaven angle. So does 2 of his teammates, but the smoke screen is going to come up. Toxic screen comes up. YFP has full line of sight over towards B right now. But Tenric, look at their utility.
Yeah, the well's dry. I can't fathom anything more frustrating than a war of attrition in a bonus round that you're supposed to win, but M80 have reduced this to that, and so YFP, they have to change course, go for the less safe but less occupied site, so ultimately it's the better option, and YFP can play keep away, letting them play for this retake and try to hold on to the guns. M80 try to feign the initial fight, and they'll hold the link side, actually, so they freely check this, but Thief's backstab is perfectly timed, and YFP will keep 3 standing.
Yeah, light work. Light work coming in. The flank at the very end, and that was really everything there for YFP, though. M80, they already had a line of sight. That smoke getting recharged there for Jakey ended up being absolutely everything. And, of course, with the speed that they had going into that site, you could easily leave someone over in heaven, you know, just for that watch. And beautiful, beautiful aggression coming out from Thief Jakey at the very end. Here comes YFP, though. Still back on those rifles. It is M80. Who last round, they only had SMGs. They only had lower firepower. This time with the rifles. This time Sato on the operator once again. His defensive op has been doing bits here for M80 in pivotal moments.
Is that a dink, too? It might have been. Style points to tack on to a nice opener for the defense that can be as dynamic as M80 really wants to. So that's where Penny has to step in and cut this back open again, really dissect this defense. But Victor has the close choke and the protruding gun from Penny. It's a little messy, but it'll work.
Yeah, shaking my boots. Here comes Caillou. Comparison to first half. Incredible second half here for Caillou. As now Okeanos looking for a couple more over towards that heaven side. But again, I keep joking, but this is still a stellar spot to be here if you are a breach. Your util is so pivotal, and you're basically just self-flashing at this point instead of flashing for others. But the rest of this round is going to go to the birds here. So the rest of the birds here of M80. Stellar. 1v5, able to at least pick down one, but this is everything here for M80. This was going to be yet another reset. YFP They used so many ultimates already earlier on, and they already have themselves a bit of a recharge. It is kind of crazy that almost everyone here for YFP dangerously close to their ultimates. But M80 is going to be coming up in this round already with an ultimate of their own. Okeanos can be quite aggressive here, potentially on a watch over towards the B side, and if his teammates need him over on A, all good.
Yeah, for sure. And we've already seen Okeanos start to get a lot more activated. This double swing this round was really clean. Yeah.
30 seconds left.
Thing that kept M80 stable outside of the site. Caillou had it held down with his util and his lone frag. On side, nothing YFP really could do to gate crash. They're gonna do that again here, and Penny's immediately gonna run into Sato's op again.
Yeah, that's a little bit scary. What on earth? What the, huh? What? That is so unlucky. The bounce on the Viper Orb is insane. Bow. Is he going to be able to do anything with this? That's a huge stun there right in his face, but Thief around the corner is still going to find Bow, and we still somehow have a round after what was an insane smoke, and Thief is going to find a headshot. This is up versus the Phantom of Victor now. He's going to take his time coming around. Viper's Pit is available here potentially for the one-on-one, and Thief is going to hold on to the Stinger for it, but he goes for the fake plant. He's looking for Victor immediately, but Victor, he's only gotten closer here to sight. If anything, Thief, his timing, his space is only closing, and Victor is able to find the frag. Thief just not confident.
Yeah, moments of hesitation really bookending that round as a whole. The B entry, unfortunately, you just have to make it work off of that toxic orb, unfortunately ricocheting. I'll have to see that again. Thief certainly can't be happy with how that went, but they still made it work. The orb ended up landing in a spot that they could actually still work with to hold down the site push, so yeah, let's take a look. What on earth is that, dude?
Dude, I'm sorry. What?
Is there like a hotkey that you can use to backspin your toxic orb when you throw it or something? What happened there?
A high key, I didn't know trick shots existed like that in Valorant, but we should make it.
What is that?
We have to make it some sort of genre at this point, because there is no way that happens.
We
fact
spent
that
a
it
whole
actually
time being like,
affects
oh, that
around.
was I can't tell if that was intentional, bro. That's the crazy thing.
What?
I can't.
Huh?
I don't understand that at all.
Why would it be intentional?
I'll need Reddit to explain it to me like I'm 5, or chat to be like, look at this dumbass that doesn't understand how toxic orbs work.
Dude, I'm just so happy that we just have a new genre here of content here for Valorant. Valorant trick shots. We need it. We haven't had like, you know, frag movies like that, right? We haven't had like Call of Duty type trick shot montages. You know what I mean?
You still got to shout out that
in this game, I think.
That push still working at the end of the day, though. Shout out to Stellar and B-Dog just working off of their util synergy in the brunt of that fight. Jakey as well to really just suss out the extremities that they could manage to margin away earlier on. Victor, the only one standing for that last take.
It's all Oki now, basically. You have to have Bow on the edge of the smoke to try to do anything, but that is Omen doing Omen things, TPing away from distress. Plenty of utility here for M80. It is going to be Bow up front. Oh my goodness, Bow. Bow's going to have himself quite the treat. He almost ends up getting himself 2 frags. There's only 1, and he still ends up getting 2. He's still knocked down. Thief alongside Stellar are going to get wrapped on, and that is indeed a feast for Bow.
Eating good this round after M80 allowed for it. And that is ultimately the thing that this team does so much better than every other currently, at least this stage. The previous stage, I think Shopify were the best at it, but Shopify were also the best at everything last stage.
Correct.
But M80 have really shown how capable their players are of always picking up after one another, regardless of what combination of them are left or available at the scene. And of course, that comes primarily from your ability to work off of yourself, and Caillou is the blueprint for that, not just with that util able to enable everybody else on the site, but all too often for his own clutch rotations or swings that allow for the team to recover. Everyone else is capable of doing that same thing, leveling that same amount of aggression. I mean, we've seen Sato backstep once or twice now to flash in for the team as opposed for the solo on its own. Yeah, please. Yeah, Show that to me 1,000 times and I'm still not going to understand it.
No, not at all.
Spike planted.
At some point, you know, we're going to say, I understand it now. We're going to be able to hone in that sort of
And take that trick shot
technology
every
here.
time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got, dude, I have no idea what happened there. It's still nothing. I need every explanation in the world.
Yeah, that's somehow more interesting than the game that's going on right now. And this game is shaping up to be a really good one at this point. YFP, their fragability is still like clearly washing through. I mean, M80, they're keeping their personality intact despite that. This is the perfect back and forth of two teams filled to the brim with personality.
I'm back.
Penny, he's going to take over Victor. Victor, this is a huge play for him, and that's even bigger from Penny. Backing out even now for YFP. Not so much here for M80. M80 down to 4. Okeanos looking for a little bit too much back over towards that mid side, but not going to be able to find anyone. It's just a reset for YFP back over towards A.
So how does YFP work it from here? Jakey looking to set up these smokes for the bare bones take. Penny already getting prepped with this flash into TP to fully take over the site. Caillou knows he's about to get overwhelmed, and the TP will confirm his position on that site so Penny can safely get in the corners of it. Okeanos tries to swing into it. Asado is the only one for M80 able to get a pick right now, and holding this open space operator is as dangerous as can be. So he'll relent and give YFP the site in the 2v4
30
retake.
seconds left.
Yeah, more than enough cash for the future of M80.
Planted.
And considering how long this comeback has to be here for YFP, we're going to have to kick back, relax, put your feet up, get some popcorn if YFP really want to make this comeback happen. And it seems like they have the sauce for it. I mean, what a mix-up back over towards A, but it's as simple as Penny getting in, getting out. M80, though, still with the right idea. Look at the man coverage that M80 had back on that site. You still had the 2 men on site. You still had strong rotation coming in fast from M80. And this is the first time here that we're really seeing YFP win a big round here on merit on this attack side. Full exec needing to kind of reset themselves a little bit. That's probably the most disciplined look that you're going to see from YFP unless they keep up that energy.
Agreed. Yeah, that was extremely mechanical and operative from YFP, just working very cleanly off of Penny's opening frag with the dimensional drift and then smoking your way out the rest of the way through. Willing to let go of that one kill that Sato gets away with before dealing with whatever resources he has. And from there, M80, they have to play the long game now that they hold on to that operator. Great prep work done by YFP to take over that round. And with a save like that, M80 is handing potential stability for the rest of regulation to YFP as well. M80 has to be prepared to fight on equal footing the rest of the race here.
Still really nothing here that M80 is trying to bite down on. You see YFP trying to poke and prod here, trying to get a contact out from M80. The only place where they're really going to get it is going to be over towards B main. You have Okeanos being real dangerous here, real risky. But again, YFP spread apart right now. And this was sort of the dynamic that I was trying to focus up on as this half started. Thief. Not a whole lot of conditioning happening over towards that A site. Always has had that wall, always maintaining 1 or 2 players for M80 here on this site. And it's not like Thief has given up here on this watch. It's just a nobody here from M80. Not a single time somebody from M80 has bitten down here on this A site. But what's the setup here on B if YFP are aiming for it?
Already managed to field out Bao, that retaining Viper from the vents, thanks to all of that Teo util. You just have to respect it so much. So the mid control going the way of YFP and this B pinch
30
looking like it's
seconds
fully
left.
in the cards. Smoke along the garage, but now the fault line into the salvo setup on the tower gives that space over handily to YFP. So Okeanos gonna have to hold it on his own. Here's the steps out of the smoke. Paranoia gonna get launched, and he's gonna attempt to take a semblance of a fight while Caillou creeping below, but Stellar has waltzed right on, and Okeanos too much to deal with. Rolling Thunder now across from the site with 9 seconds left. M80 trying to save face. They've stepped on site and they've stopped the spike plant. It's just Thief left on the rat back, and guess what he's gonna do this round? Certainly not enough. It's 11-9. Of course, a kill and a gun will go the way of YFP, but that's all they walk out of this round with. M80 They have enough stopping power on this site after all of that waiting, all of that stalling was done by YFP that round. I'm amazed at how terrified they were after they did all of that that preliminary work as well. Genuinely, Bao had to walk across a national park's worth of distance to feel safe again. And then we saw no development from there. It was the full breach onto the tower. And Okeano still goes down, but they hold Link. And they walk out from it so bloody early. They somehow make that fight work, and it's enough to get the spike down with nobody else in time to hold that side away. M80 completely weather away at YFP's attack that round.
Oh, M80. Again, they took advantage of the fact that YFP was still asking, like, what is their idea? What are they cooking? It's basically the same thing that we're looking at right now, but definitely a little bit more proactive. This is definitely earlier than last time that we saw YFP make their way up into top mid. Definitely the earliest we've seen a kill onto this man in heaven. Penny taking down Sato. You still have Bao alongside one more. It's going to be Caillou right behind him. Okeanos. They're on the B site. Is going to have the cross. They've already spotted one over towards heaven. There's still a man over on A waiting for that elevator pop. But YFP still committing little by little into this B site. They're working this out. They're taking their time once again. This is not the first time at all that they've done this. And YFP, are they going to get bitten for it? Penny is going to be able to get the frag. And more importantly, they take their sweet, sweet time flushing out this B site. This is what you love to see out of that team in the last round. But M80, I forgot that they had some counterplay in that last round. They bursted together back into the site. YFP this time, though, are able to find all the kills they needed.
M80 thinking surely YFP won't play that same time stalling game again. Surely they'll be the ones that are willing to util dump more than we are at first. But it is M80 that has to let that Rolling Thunder go and go for the full-blown frontal assault on the B steps and heaven. Everybody comes up short. YFP fully prepared for that interception. And this is very well practiced from YFP, very in the vein of top-level America's teams when you're seeing that mechanical diff really start to protrude through, especially on a half as tough as this. What you can really simply do is slow things down to a snail's pace on that attack, force the defensive team in those vacuums rather than with, you know, an orb or a flash that you throw in. Trade away defensive utility without throwing a thing, without making a breath. And despite the fact that YFP have now tried that in 2 consecutive rounds, they get away with it harder on the second go-around with it. We'll see if they slow things down again here at 10-11, with the gun diff really starting to show. Sato, light armor, Bao on the Guardian. It is touchy.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Bottom mid, Bao Sato, like you said, in touching distance here of YFP. And this is it really for M80. This is the sort of tricky play that they've been waiting for. They've isolated the spike. There's 2 players already coming up from behind. The breach more or less had an idea, but they're finally bursting into the middle of the site. Caillou's able to get one, but we're still focusing up on the 2 lurkers coming in from behind. There is Sato picking up B-Dog. Sato still looking at the angle, still waiting for another piece of util. There is the trade coming up from Bao. 2 more remaining for YFP. Make it 1 more. Thief. 1v3, Caillou looking over on site, but you've got to be kidding me with that reaction. Caillou, what a return to form. This is the same guy that had 0 kills in that first half. Yes, it's impact frags at this point, but what a round, what a return there from Caillou. Now M80, 1 round away from being 1 series away from playoffs.
And that's, again, the rest of M80's teammates making sure to shoulder that burden that Caillou had to hand to them for those opening rounds long enough to let Caillou start to get that work in again. And now building up a respectable KDA, all things considered, going into what will be the first of 3 or 2 match points here for M80's favor. Another early hold here in the market, but far more action paid to it from YFP to start things out. Sato's gonna walk this down!
Yep, again, but there's no way that YFP don't at least gut check this. They got snuck up on last round, but they don't. Good off angle from Sato. The TP comes out. Man advantage here for M80. YFP, how much they've clawed through this game. The miracles that were needed to keep them in the lead in this game. And M80.
Time to jump.
still once again finding an early advantage on this defensive half. Penny has been lights out a couple of times, but my goodness, Bao not able to nail him. And Penny does the same. The two Yorus coming in with the same impact. Get a frag and bounce, and there goes the dimensional drift on exactly the site that you want to see it. A site empty, but hold on now. Satu stepping up. Well, is he going to be able to find a target here? 35 seconds left.
And Toxic Screen is going to be able to go back up, but YFP, they still have to deal with this main line. They can't take Heaven. It's going to be too controlled. Sato has to be that weak point, and YFP certainly don't like it when the weak point is Sato.
Oh, dimensional
Caillou
drift.
holding up Heaven as well. It's all coming up M80. The dimensional drift, though, lets Penny work a little heavier despite the intel. And now these guys are getting as active. Sato on top of the spike, though, with the shutdown. And that'll be a 13-10 victory here on Split. M80 coming into the Swiss stage with a lot of question marks once again over their heads after their second place performance. But now they're just one win out from making it back to the playoff bracket.